No fire crackling nearby. No breathing but her own. For the first time in 400,000 years, there is no one left to answer her call. This is not fiction. Somewhere in what is now southern Spain, roughly 40,000 years ago, a Neanderthal woman took her last breath. She didn't know it yet, but she was the end of a species. The end of a story that started before modern humans even existed. Neanderthals weren't stupid brutes. They buried their dead. They made jewelry from eagle talons. They cared for injured members of their group, even when those members could no longer hunt. For 400,000 years, they survived ice ages, megapredators, and shifting continents. Then, in the span of a few thousand years, they vanished. That question has haunted scientists for over a century. Here's where it gets strange. When researchers sequenced Neanderthal DNA in 2010, they found something nobody expected. Traces of Neanderthal genes inside modern humans. Inside you possibly right now. That means somewhere, at some point, a Neanderthal and a Homo sapiens didn't just meet. They had children. So the Neanderthals didn't fully disappear. They were absorbed. But that only raises a darker question. If they were intelligent enough to interbreed with us, compassionate enough to bury their dead and care for the sick, how did they lose? To answer that, we have to go back to the moment the two species first crossed paths. Around 45,000 years ago, small bands of Homo sapiens began pushing into Neanderthal territory across Europe. They weren't invaders in the traditional sense. They were just better at certain things. Homo sapiens had wider social networks. They traded across hundreds of miles. Neanderthals, evidence suggests, lived in small, isolated groups, sometimes just 15 to 30 individuals. Small groups mean small gene pools. Small gene pools mean vulnerability. One bad winter, one disease, one failed hunting season. It could wipe out an entire community. And the climate wasn't cooperating. Europe, 40,000 years ago, was swinging wildly between warm spells and brutal cold snaps, sometimes within a single human lifetime. Neanderthal bodies were built for endurance in cold, stable climates. Not for rapid, chaotic swings. Every shift in temperature meant migrating animal herds, disappearing food sources, and desperate movement. But here's the part that keeps researchers up at night. Some Neanderthal sites show signs of a population in slow, quiet decline, not sudden extinction. Fewer children, smaller camps, less evidence of tool innovation over time. It doesn't look like a war was fought and lost. It looks like a long, slow fade. Like a candle running out of wax instead of being blown out. Imagine living through that. Not knowing you're witnessing the end of your entire species. Just noticing there are fewer children born each year. Fewer voices around the fire. Longer stretches of silence between camps that used to be full of relatives. Some researchers believe the final Neanderthal populations survived longest in isolated pockets, caves in Gibraltar, at the very southern tip of Spain. Cut off by geography, protected for a while from competition. Goram's Cave, on the Rock of Gibraltar, shows signs of Neanderthal occupation dated to around 32,000 years ago. That's over 10,000 years after most of Europe's Neanderthals had already disappeared. They held on, alone, at the edge of the world. 500,540. Picture it. A small band, maybe a dozen individuals. Cliffs behind them, ocean in front. Nowhere left to retreat to. They still hunted, still made tools, still cared for their young. But their world had shrunk to a single cave, on a single peninsula at the very bottom of a continent that used to be entirely theirs. And then one day the evidence just stops. No dramatic final battle in the archaeological record. No mass grave marking a last stand. Just a final layer of ash in a fire pit. A final stone tool left unfinished. And then nothing. The last Neanderthal on Earth died, and we don't know her name, her age, or what her final thought was. We only know that after her, There was no one left to carry the memory forward. Except that's not quite true. Because remember the DNA. Somewhere before that final ending, a Neanderthal and a Homo sapiens loved, or at least mated. And that child carried something forward that no cave painting or fire pit could preserve. A piece of Neanderthal biology folded into ours. Most people today with European or Asian ancestry carry somewhere between 1 and 2% Neanderthal DNA. Not history, biology, still running, still active, still in a very real sense alive. Some of that DNA affects your immune system. Some affects how you process pain. Some affects your skin, your hair, even your sleep patterns. Every time you read about Neanderthals as some extinct other, remember, they aren't fully gone. They're distributed, diluted, woven quietly into billions of people across the planet. The last Neanderthal didn't know she was the last. She just knew the fire was smaller this year, the winters longer, the voices fewer. Extinction for her species wasn't a single moment. It was a slow exhale, one that took thousands of years to finish. And somewhere in your own cells, a small part of that breath is still moving.